Hey everyone, sometimes it can be hard to think of great things to ask a potential tenant in the screening process with your initial interview. You might feel yourself stumbling through the interview with little sense of direction or forgetting certain questions that you should have asked afterwards. In this video, you will be going over specific questions that will give you the solutions to the problems mentioned previously. I'm Josh Tyler, and I want to help make your life easier with these simple questions to ask a prospect renter so that your investment will be well taken care of. Also, if you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button down below. Okay, let's hop into it. After briefly introducing yourself to set the tone and to make the conversation easier going on both ends, the first intro question you'll want to ask is, what are some of your favorite things to do, or what hobbies do you have? Doing this will help take the edge off the conversation, and they will be willing to open up and share more info with you once you get into the more serious questions. Once again, make sure that this is the first question you ask. Next question is, where do you work and how long have you been employed there currently? If the tenant tells you they just got hired a month ago and it's their third different job this year, then that might throw some red flags. But if the tenant tells you they've had a solid career with a certain company for several years or more than that, then that's a very good sign of stability. Generally, what the stability they show you with work is the stability that they will show you with your investment property. What is your daily schedule like? This will give you a gauge on their typical lifestyle and also on how much traffic your property will receive. If the tenant says they're always away at work, then off to the gym, and only at home to sleep and eat, well then this might be a good sign to some. If the tenant says that they never leave the home and they play video games after their work from home shift is done, then this will also tell you how much home use your rental will be receiving. Also, this question is great to see what type of work shift this individual works. Who will be listed on the lease? Ideally, if you are renting to a single person, of course you want them to tell you that this is just them on the lease only and they have a friend over from time to time. If you are renting to a small family, then just make sure you ask this question to verify if the partners or whatever sort on the lease in the moment and the amount of kids they have is great to ask as well. Once again, how much home traffic is how much regular maintenance and upkeep that will need to be done. Are you married, single, divorced, kids, no kids, boyfriend, or girlfriend? This will show you who will regularly be over if they are not on the lease. I also like to dive a little deeper with this one and politely ask if there is any family drama or relationship drama going on. Sometimes you will catch tenants in the middle of a legal battle over custody or something, and this can potentially affect the finances for rent payments and such. What is your current living situation, the size and the type of it? And what are your reasons for leaving it? I love this question because it tells you their previous history. Also, you will get a good mental gauge on how many items they would be moving into your rental if they said the current size where they were renting at is 2,500 square feet. Make sure that this gets answered. If they say, oh, my landlord is kicking me out just because or whatever, then this can be a huge red flag and make sure you dig deeper on that issue. But if they say the lease is officially up and the homeowner is selling the property, then that can be a valid answer that is pleasing to hear. Just make sure you get the specific details and make sure the story always adds up. Do you smoke, drink, cigarettes, drugs? Check in on this. If any of this is a personal problem for you, then you can make your own decisions. I just like to reiterate that if they smoke cigarettes, that it can only be done outside on the back deck, front patio, or whatever. If we did a background check, what would show up? I love this question because number one, they have to answer it with honesty, and number two, it puts them on the spot because it would show up anyways on the background check. See their reaction, see if you get a pause of some sort. If they jump right into it and say absolutely nothing, then great. If they give you a well, blah, 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 might show up because of X, Y, and Z, then you can make your decision and see if the juice is worth the squeeze in moving forward or not. Time is money, wasted time is wasted money. Where are you originally from? How long do you plan to be in this area? And how long would you intend to stay here for? See what they say to this. If they say we are original locals, we love it here, we grew up here all of our lives, we are never leaving, I love my career here, etc., then great. But just watch out for the travelers, I like to call them. If you get a, yeah, I'm from this certain state, and I just got to the area 6 months ago, and well, I might want to move down to South America on the slow season in a few months to do some exploring exploring, then come back up here next spring? Do you really want to waste your time renting out something just for a few months? But this is really up to you and how you are setting up the lease length for. Do you have any pets, or will you be acquiring any pets soon? Do not just ask the first question, make sure you ask if they are thinking about getting any pets anytime soon as well. For all you know, they are just waiting to get into your rental, then buy 3 dogs all at once because they finally have the space to do so. What is your transportation situation, and how many cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, etc. do you own? And will you be acquiring anything else if you moved here? If you don't want clutter around your rental, make sure you ask this question in detail. Do not just ask how many vehicles they own and they tell you, oh, just 1, but then also they have 4 Harley motorcycles and your rental looks like a biker bar outpost or something. Or they have a massive charter boat that sits on the side yard because they want to play Gilligan's Island on the weekends. Check in with all transportation items and be the judge of what you would like to allow. This can make it or break it for sure. Do you have any medical conditions I should be made aware of? This question is good to jot down just in case anything serious needs to happen that the landlord should be aware of. Just be a good judge on things and make a self-note if it's something serious. Great question. Do you have an emergency savings plan set aside? If so, how long for? See what they say to this and look for a detailed plan with numbers mentioned. If they just say, well, yeah, I have some extra funds set aside that I can possibly get to, then they really don't have an emergency financial cushion set up. But if they tell you in detail, yes, we have 6 months at this rate each month set up, and so on and so forth, then hey, good to go. How fast can you move in? Great question to ask because this will give you an idea on their responsiveness and timeliness to everything. If they say, oh, we're looking to possibly move in 2 months or whatever, then you can be the judge of that. How long have you been renting for in your life, and how many different places have you rented from? If they tell you, oh, this would be my very first time renting, then just make your own judgment on that. It can be a toss-up. You might need to baby your rental a lot more, so on and so forth. On the other hand, if they tell you several or dozens of places that they rent on average for 6 months to a year at each one, then also be the judge on the other end of the spectrum as well. And lastly, will you be okay with this type of living situation? And is there anything else important that I should be aware of? This last question should be your final conclusion to the interview. Briefly explain the exact setup once more with the rules, layout, neighbor information, etc., etc. Then let them tell you that they are okay and satisfied with what you have mentioned about the rental. Finally, asking if there is anything else that you should be made aware of gives them one more chance to let you know of anything that you possibly both missed throughout the entire interview. Doing all of this, or even a good chunk of these questions, will set you up for success as a landlord and a real estate investor. Once again, please subscribe and thumbs up this video. Thank you and goodbye.